We understand that IRCC they've made a lot of changes to the study visa application process and the way they do scrutinization of your documents has increased. So this is some of the ways you can position yourself to maximize the new changes and position yourself to get your visa approved. The proof of funds is one of the major reasons why many visas are being denied. So I'm going to go through this video and show you what you should include in your proof of funds. Now, let's take a look at IRCC guidelines for proof of funds. I'm going to drop the link to the consular documents for assessing your proof of for accessing your visa application. The link will be if you are listening to this, if you are watching this on YouTube, the link will be in the description. Now, if you look at the website, you discover that they've dropped a guidelines for reviewing documents and for reviewing documentation. So let's check the financial part. The For the financial sufficiency, it says from 2024, a single applicant studying outside Quebec will need to show that they have 20,635 Canadian dollars in addition to the first year of tuition and travel costs. This change applies to new study permits received on or before after January 1. Now, if you understand this, from January 1, the proof of funds requirement for living expenses was moved from $10,000 to about $21,000. So, if we read further, it says students are requested to demonstrate financial sufficiency for only the first year of studies, regardless the duration of the course of the program in which they are enrolled. For example, a single student entering a 4-year degree program with an annual tuition fee of 15,000 Canadian dollars must demonstrate funds of $15,000 to satisfy the requirement, not the full $60,000 for 4 years. Officers may be satisfied, however, that the probability of funding future does exist. For example, parents are employed, scholarship is for more than 1 year. Now, this is the standard. But from experience, I would say you should consider proving for the full duration of the program. Yes, I have seen visa being issued when the student just proved the very first year. But you should think and consider proving for the whole 4 years. Now, look, it says in some very high risk environment, reviewing and verifying the history of funds and supplementary individual or family financial and employment documentation may be necessary to ensure that only genuine students capable of supporting their program of studies are granted study permits. Nigeria, India, and some other African countries, they are classified as high risk region. High risk in a sense that documents from this region are very difficult to verify. Nigeria, for example, they don't have proper record system. So it is difficult for them to verify such records. Now, let's look at common reasons for visa rejection, and it is the proof of is the finance part. Now, the very first common reason I have seen for visa rejection is the origin of funds. Your bank statement, you or your sponsor can present a bank statement, and at the beginning of the bank statement, there is a large opening balance, and you did not explain satisfactorily. So you need to include documents that can convincingly explain the the origin of the funds. Yes, I understand that to explain origin of funds, sometimes you just put so many documents, and at the end of the day, these guys understand these things, that these guys, they are not Nigerians. Most of them, they don't know how things operate in Nigeria. Yes, they deal with Nigerian applications again and again. So they've with experience, they've come to see this set of documents from different and various applicants. But it will be a wise decision to put standard documents. Let's say, for example, you sold a land. If you can get a an official receipt, or if possible, I don't know how it operates in your own part. If you can get, they believe anything that has to do that is government backed, anything that is government backed. Let's say I want to prove that I work for a particular company, and after giving my pay slips, and I really want to go to the extra mile to prove that I actually work, I can go ahead and submit my pension, evidence that I receive pension. Mind you, even if I have 1 billion naira in my pension account, it will not be considered as an available fund, but it might be able to help me prove that actually I am a worker. So, origin of funds, you should do well to explain the origin of funds. Look, okay, you, or if somebody is helping you or assisting you to um, fill your forms or thereabout, you should come together. You should think, how do I prove the origin of funds in my account? Another major reason why um, study visas might be rejected is lump sum. You see, people at the beginning of the statement, they have quite a small amount of money, and towards the end of the statement, they just put a lump sum. Yes, people state that they sell property, people state that they do all kind of things, but these guys, they are not dumb. Sometimes they know that this money is not available. Sometimes it is now difficult to actually differentiate between a genuine case and a case of inflation, just trying to inflate. If you ask me my honest opinion, if you can't avoid lump sum, avoid lump sum. It's better you do it's better you do the payments at the beginning of the statement, as in it doesn't reflect in the statement, and you explain it as part of the origin of the funds. Now, to go back to origin of the fund, you see people earning, let's say, 50,000 naira as salary, and you put your pay slip, then you have 25 million naira, 50 million, 100 million naira as balance. No, you did not explain any other source or how you got this money. And you are expecting them to just look like, okay, let's say you've been working for 5 years. Even if you did not spend any money from your salary, 5 years, add 5 years salary, all combined, it doesn't add up to that balance. So you should consider, very important, in as much as you want to send a document, in as much as you want to add any document, this document, what is its function? This money in my account, how do I prove the origin? Then we another reason why people get rejected is the documents are not clear. If you are using most banks, their transaction history is usually very large because this is transaction history for 6 months, depending on how often you use your bank. So you discover when you scan like statement of account, 20 page, 50 pages, 100 pages, the size is usually very, very large. So before, you have to now compress and compress and compress. At the end of the day, by the time you upload these documents, they are not, it is no longer clear. The consular officer can't not see this document. And mind you, all these documents on the financial category, you have to put them in one document, in one PDF, and upload as proof of finances. So if you have 10 bank statements you are using, you have your origin documents, you have your employment documents, and you have any document you are using to prove your funds, they all have to be in one document. So by the time you pack those plenty documents and you attach them together, you discover that the size becomes so large. And if you are using the IRCC portal, this document size has to be 2 MB or less. If you are using the GC key, which is the IRCC secure portal, um, the this thing becomes the size becomes 4 megabytes. Now, that being said, another reason why people get rejected is using of third party sponsors. Another reason why people get rejected is use of third party sponsors. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot use sponsorship, but try everything possible to limit sponsorship to direct family members. Um, like if this is your bank statement, analyze your bank statement very well because that is the major document for finances that they will check. If let's say your mother is the one sponsoring you, and in that same your account you have money coming in from your mother, from other sources, and you did not include um, the reason why they are sponsoring you, you did not include um, documents to back up their own financial stance, then can just tell you that your your finances was not properly documented, and that will pose an issue for you. So limit sponsorship to just direct family members, to mother, to father, brothers, sisters, just direct family members if possible. Then another reason is funds. Some people, when they put a sponsor's like a sponsor is sponsoring them, they don't prove what the sponsor is doing. Yes, my father can decide to give me a deed of gift of 20 million naira, like, okay, to support my education. He's my father, we agree. Then, since he is my father, but how did my father get that money? So, if my father is giving me 20 million naira, what does my father do? You put those documents, like, to show what he does. Then, relationship. If your sponsor is sponsoring you, put proof of relationship, birth certificate, marriage certificate. Let's say your husband is sponsoring you, you need to put your marriage certificate, and it will show that, okay, this is your husband and you guys are legally married. If it's your father, put birth certificate, and in your birth certificate it will show his name as your father. Then another reason why some people are rejected is there is discrepancy. The bank statement does not align. You need to know how to calculate the amount you will need. You need your you should consider adding your all your expenses when you are doing your calculation. Understand that you need your tuition fee for the very first year. You need your living expenses. Use the new rate, which is 21,000 Canadian dollars. Calculate extra expenses like return tickets. So you need to show all these in your statement of account. You need also to prove that you have access to this fund. If you are using a company account and it's a personal company, then you need like a letter. You need to include a letter showing that, okay, the money in your company account is 100% and fully available to you. As much as I would say, if possible, avoid using company accounts. If you have more than one or two partners, then they will also need to write and give their consent that this money is actually available for the purpose, and they will state the reason why they are using company funds to fund your personal goal. So if you can avoid using company accounts, use commercial banks. Since this whole process of changes, they've been very stringent, and they mainly honor commercial banks statements. Then you should understand that education is quite a very huge and large investment. So justify how this investment, you making an amount, spending that amount to come study in Canada, would benefit you. Whereas if you study in your home country, let's say you're studying the same course in your home country, it will cost you less. So why should you invest such substantial amounts and go to their country to come study? So you should write a very good personal statement. And in this personal statement, ensure you tackle and give them career related reasons, and reasons that are very, very okay for them to believe that you are coming for a genuine purpose. There is a common belief by most applicants that what they want to see is account turnover. Please dispel this myth. It is not your account turnover they are looking at. They are looking at your available funds. So it is not a good strategy to put in bulk money, take it out, and put in bulk money. At the end of the day, the turnover runs into billions, and the available balance, it's not even up to 5-10% of the total um, account turnover. Understand. For schooling, you have bills to pay. You need to pay for your accommodation. Accommodation in Canada can go as high as $1,000 or even up to $2,000 um, per per month. They pay per month. So you will not use the turnover to make this payment. It's real money you would use, and it is available balance. So they check your monthly available balance. They check your balance at the end of the statement. Those are the things they look at. Those are the things that they check. So ensure that you maintain a constant monthly available balance. Constant in a sense that it's increasing, it's consistently increasing. Let's say, let me use figures and explain this point further. If at the beginning of month one, you have maybe like a 50 million and you made some expenses, at the end of month two, you had maybe like a 40 million, and month three, it went up to 60 million. Then month four, it went up to 70. And when you are printing your bank statement, it was like 80 million. You discover that the least bank balance around throughout this 6 period was about, let's say, 40 million. Now you understand that, okay, this money is actually, it's easy and reasonable to assume that that money is actually available. So let's quickly talk about some strategies to maximize your visa approval. Getting a visa approved is all about being intentional about the finance. If you are intentional about your finances, then you will not have issues. I will quickly share a story of a student of mine that got approved even in the heat of um, visa refusal of 2024. The parent acted as a sponsor. The parent works for a company. Now, what did we do? The student paid at least 50% of his tuition for 1 year. Then the dad brought his bank statement. His bank statement was not more than, I think it was about, he was going for a school that cost 18.5. He has paid I think about 9,000 or thereabouts. The dad had just like 30 million naira in his account. So what did we do? The dad has paid his tuition. The dad went, we got to the company of the dad, told the dad to go to the company. The dad went to meet the HRO. The HRO brought and explained that this is his salary. This is his yearly salary. These are all the bonuses he would receive. He is not under any probation and is not under any disciplinary action that would warrant a sack. So the HRO of the father's company brought out and wrote explicitly everything about his finances, of which his annual income would be more than enough to pay for the child's education. Then we added it, and the bank statement of the dad was so superb in the sense that it showed, it was just his salary account. It showed history of his salary being deposited into his account and history of him taking it out. The dad normally takes out, once he receives his salary, he takes out a portion and sends it to another of his bank account from where he makes expenses. And when they looked at his bank statement and they looked at, okay, let's say his salary was a million naira. I'm just giving you that for an instance. I cannot share somebody's financial details online. Let's say his salary was like a million naira and he takes out, let's say, 400,000 for expenses. The balance 600,000 has been accumulating and accumulating month in, month out. If you are explaining that to the embassy that I receive X amount, of which I take out X amount for my expenses and I keep the others as savings because I am saving towards my education, it is logical to explain. So, that being said, if you are going to employ this strategy, you should know that just try and separate the bank statement that you would use for the your visa purpose. Then If possible, we all know the nature of how these currencies is fluctuating. So save in US dollars. And the good thing is, if you save in US dollars, if you save in US dollar, Canada economy and the US economy, the exchange rate is deteriorating by the day. It is not as fast deteriorating like the way Nigeria's own is happening, but actually is deteriorating. Let's say, for example, as at a year ago or thereabout, an exchange rate US dollars to Canada was like 1.3 something, but today it's like 1.44 or thereabout. So it means that if you even save in US dollars, by the time you are doing your application, a $20,000 savings that was formerly like 20, like 30. Let me just do some calculation. A $20,000 savings times 1.35, when you saved it, which was like 27,000 Canadian dollars, and now that it has gone to like 1.45, would your 27,000 Canadian dollars, your 20,000 US dollars you saved will now be equivalent to like 29,000 Canadian dollars, thereby showing that you even have more money. So, if possible, save in US dollars. If not, use your local currency. And when you are doing that, be intentional. Get your salary into a regular commercial bank. If you are an independent candidate and you don't have company to pay regular salary to your account, or you are a business person, ensure that your business is registered. You can register your business. To register business in Nigeria, for example, it doesn't cost much. You can register a business name. It must not be a limited liability company. Be intentional about the way you do business. Give customers receipts. When you purchase goods or you make expenses, get your purchase order or get receipts from your suppliers. And any receipts you are putting, make sure it tallies with what's on your bank statement. You cannot just write any random receipts. Make sure the receipts that you are putting tallies with the your account statement. Just be intentional about your bank statement. Be intentional. Plan ahead. Ensure that minimum 4 months to when you want to submit your visa application, you've already had your plan, your strategy. If you receive any funds or any money, you can get deed of gifts, but ensure that it's limited to just family members. Family members. Because they will tell you, I don't see any reason why XYZ will sponsor you when he's not a direct family member. And if you must use any family member as your sponsor, prove relationship. Whether it's your husband, include your marriage certificate. If it's your sibling, include your birth certificate, include his birth or her birth certificate. And in the birth certificate, it must show that you people share a parent, at minimum a parent. If you are using and adding that you sold assets, provide evidence. Provide evidence. Put relevant documentation. Then, embassy is not against using of loan. What they are against is using of borrowed money. Borrowed money in the sense that you take money from friends and families, you leave it, lock it in an account. After uh, your visa has been issued, you return the money. So they are against that. But if you get a loan from a reputable financial institution, or you get scholarships, or you get loan from the government of your country, then you can use it. But if you are using a loan, you will still have to show that you can pay back this loan. Some of these loan companies, they spread their loan payments, repayments up to 10, 20 years. So you can give them statistics that I intend to work. You can get your employer to give you a post-dated offer of employment. You put that, you show that, okay, when I graduate, I'm coming back to my home country to work. And um, this loan has been spread for me to pay for over X amount of years. And when I'm working, I will pay this loan using XYZ. That will be a very good strategy. That is if you are using loan. Like I said, what they are against is used or using borrowed funds. Now, if you are putting properties, you don't have to do this, but if you can, get the property evaluated to show them. But mind you, even if they evaluate it and tell them that you have 10 billion, the property is worth 10 billion, it only gives them a meta picture like, okay, you have an investment that you will come back to. It is not for a financial decision because they believe in liquid cash. What can be converted instantly? What can be converted? You can argue that yes, I can sell my land, but if you need cash immediately, can you sell it immediately? It is not. It's not always the case. So they believe that properties, it's not liquid cash. If you have large deposits in your account, make sure you explain. And any account you are using, avoid random deposits. In fact, if let's say I'm using my bank A to do my proof of funds, and bank B is what I will give out to people if I want to do my normal transactions and receive money. Bank A, I will be intentional about Bank A, following all the guidelines, following all the principles. Then, if you are using a bank statement that is so bulky, ensure you send these bank statements using my bank statement from the commercial bank. They send it directly and you add the receipt, or you request the e-copy. Most times the e-copy, once you request it, it comes signed. Make sure it's signed. And if it has a password, you can use online tools to remove that all those passwords. Ensure the reason why I say you can download that, because the sizes is usually very, very low. Mind you, no matter the financial documents you are bringing together, you have to combine them, or and it has to be less than 2 MB if you are using the IRCC portal, or it has to be 4 MB if you are using the GCK. Well, from March 25th, the IRCC portal will not be used to submit study permits application anymore. So let's just focus on GCK. So using GCK, you have 4 MB to prove, to prove, to use to prove all the your financial document. And if it is not clear, they will make a decision and they will just say the documents was not clear and they are refusing based on that. For for those going and using businesses, ensure you put your sales receipts, your purchase receipts. You don't have to put many. A few will just do. Then if you have tax clearance from the government assessing your business, showing how much your business made in the last year, please include. Then, for the company registration documents, ensure that you put valid companies, because these guys, to check whether your company is valid and to check whether you are actually a director in that company is quite easy. If you go to CAC Public Search and impute the name of the company, all these details will pop up. If you go to, there are some other search engines they will use, and the name of the directors, everything about the company, the name of the directors, that is registration details, when I mean everything, the name of the directors, and the date the company was registered, and the registered address will pop up. So when you are using your when you are doing these things, your business, when you are adding your business registration, make sure you include details of the directors. Very important. All right. So to wrap this up, let's just look at some few questions. Say, can I sponsor myself? Yes, you can sponsor yourself. If you are sponsoring yourself, ensure that you show um, that you have enough funds to cover the entire duration. Then, if you are being sponsored by a sponsor, ensure that at least that sponsor have enough money for your first year, and show valid proof that he can sponsor other years. Or better still, if he has the whole money, perfect. But we all know that that might not be obtainable for everybody. So just ensure that you show a valid way that he can sponsor other years. Or better still, just go for a 1 year program. Get into Canada, study. As you are graduating, apply for another program. There's what they call 1+1. You can combine two programs, and at the end of the day, you apply for your postgraduate work permit, and they will still give you 3 years. So if you're going for a 1 year program, it's what your finances can afford. Please go for a 1 year program. Get into Canada. The approval rates when you are in Canada, and the processing time it will take, it's usually, the approval rate is high, and the processing time in Canada is shorter. You should start preparing your proof of funds. In fact, even before you start your admission process, or as you are starting your admission process, give yourself minimum 4 months. Minimum 4 months. Then, for investment, if you can use investment, you can use investments like government recognized investment like bonds. You can use stocks. When I mean stocks, um, convertible stocks. Convertible stocks you can use. However, they are not liquid cash. So it should not form um, the full basis of your sponsorship or for your proof of funds. You can use them to show that you have investments you are returned to, and you can also use them to show that you can pay for subsequent years. Then, can a business sponsor me? It's tricky. A business can sponsor you, but however, you have to provide justification and you have to provide consent why the business is sponsoring you. Justification, why is the business sponsoring you? Then consent from all the directors, registered directors or management, that yes, the business wants to sponsor you. In as much as that's possible, but just try and work and limit yourself to personal sponsorship, whether you sponsoring yourself or a direct family member is sponsoring you. So if you understand all these requirements and you employ strategic planning, you can significantly increase your chance of securing a Canada study permit. So I wish you all the best and I'll see you in Canada. Take care. Thank you. So do well to watch our other videos. We've covered extensively a lot of areas.